Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to part 2 of Zombicide Green Horde. So part 1, we went over the instructions and basically how the game is played. It's a long video, but then at the end of it, we went over the tiles and some of the tokens. Now we're going to go over the miniatures and all the cards and all that fun stuff. So this is the pizza box with all the little characters coming. You flip that open, and we're going to have all of our characters. So our characters are the brown. Zombies are, of course, in the green. We have our characters card, we have our board. So we're going to get a bunch of different stuff in here. So I'm going to pull these out. So, yeah, your characters are going to sit in here like this. This is going to keep track of... Let me just slide this out of the way. And let's focus my camera down a little bit more. So this is our player board. So your character will go in there. You'll keep track of your experience. And then what you're going to do is get these little colored things. So as you earn your abilities, you can keep track of them that way. You have spots up here to keep track of your... Oh, I'm putting it upside down. And to keep track of your health. And then as you get new abilities, you'll add that to show which ones you've earned, although you have the ones that match your colors. I just didn't dig it out. And then you have little base discs that go on the bottom of your characters to show what color you are. So if I was playing a sim with the blue character, I would grab the blue base, and I would grab a sim who is right here. And then now I know that I'm the blue player, so it's very, very easy like that. And then you can look at your board, match that, and just pop off very nicely. Not as good as the newer ones they've been making, because the newer ones have a hole in the bottom center. You can just pop your finger through that way. Oh yes, I have 6-sided dice, just generic 6-sided dice for rolling for stuff. Some of the Kickstarter or expansion packs, you might see like ones you can buy separately, have dice with various Zombicide symbols, which are really cool as well. But I don't have any of those. And the next thing we're going to have to show on here are equipment cards, if I can get them out of the box. They did not make that easy. So we're going to get various equipment, which will have a little equipment backer on there. So if I want a sim to have a bow, I can put it in there. They have a nice little thing to slide off, or a grip spot here to pick your cards up. If you sleeve them, they'll sleeve in there nicely. If I have a lightning ball, I can put that up here in my backpack. And you have, looks like 5 slots in your backpack, so plenty of stuff there. Or if you have the specific item for him, it says either an armor or a curved dagger. So if I had a curved dagger, I could go ahead and give him the curved dagger. Or if I have armor, I could give him some armor. And that's just, I don't have one, but it just slides in like that. And then you can keep track of it that way. So that's basically how our player boards work. Very, very simple. Alright. I want to then skip over that. Let's jump into some of the other stuff we have. So we have our characters. Why don't we just go ahead and hop right into looking at our characters. Move all of these cards and all that stuff out of my way. And we'll see what our characters can do. So we're going to start with the sims. So on the back side, they show a nice full art image of the character. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Then I flip it over. It's going to show all their abilities. None of the miniatures, which are very nice. You get people from, like, you know, different kind of cultures, different things. I don't know if we have anyone from a different race. We might. By race, I don't mean a human. I mean, like, we might have, like, some of the sets you can get, like, monsters, characters that might help out. You know, that maybe didn't get infected with the plague. That want to help everyone out. So a sim has a couple of different abilities, and we're going to read through what they all do. So he starts off with blue. He always starts with taunt. Taunt is a really fun ability. So the taunt says survivors can use this skill for free once during each of their turns. They select a zone your survivor can see. All zombies standing in the selected zone immediately gain an extra activation and try to reach the taunting survivor by any means available. The taunted survivor ignores all other survivors. They do not attack them and leave the zone they're standing in if they need to reach the taunting. So this can be very good, like if you have another survivor in the zone. They say, oh crap, like if that person didn't kill everything or couldn't escape or whatever, if they're still in there at the beginning of the turn, they're gonna die. So you could pull all the zombies out towards you, or if they're not even in that zone, you could, if they're going a direction, you could pull them. Hey, run out of the building, taunt them towards you to come towards that building. The thing is, it's a free action, so you can only do it once per turn, so you can't like taunt 4 or 5 times, but it definitely helps save some lives. In the yellow spot, everyone gets +1 action, so this is a standard Zombicide thing, so by the time you get to your second thing, you gain an extra action point to do stuff. Then in orange is where you just start making choices. So a sim gets either 1 free melee action or 1 free move action. So it's, how do you want to play him? Do you want him to be able to move around more, or do you want him to be able to go attack more? This might, at that point, depend on what your quest is. If your quest is to get across the board and get objectives and not necessarily kill everything, you might want to move more. Or if you need to destroy a lot of stuff, or he's right in the thick of combat, having an extra melee action might make a definite help. Then when you hit red, it's kind of the same thing. And red, as a reminder, is the very last one. So it's 43 points, so it's going to take a while to get there, but they're very powerful when they go, and they can change the course of the game. So he has +1 die roll for melee, so every time you go melee attack, you gotta roll 1 extra die for your weapon. Or he has Bloodlust melee or Reaper combat. Bloodlust melee, I'm going to redouble check all these because they're speaking through the regular Zombicide, they're slightly different. Bloodlust, basically Bloodlust for anything was magic, melee, or ranged, or just straight combat. It's going to work the same way, it just depends on what it says. So it's going to say spend 1 action with the survivor. They move up to 2 zones to a zone containing at least 1 zombie, and then they gain a free action of that choice. So in this case, he can move 2 spaces, and he gets a free melee action. And then Reaper combat is when they kill a says assigning hits resolving melee range or magic, depending on whichever one it says, because some might again specify. This is combat, so it can work for all 3 of them. You can freely kill 1 additional identical zombie in the same zone. Only 1 single zombie can be killed per action using this skill. So if he kills a walker, he gets to kill an additional walker. Now if he, for some reason, gets to roll 4 dice and he does 4 hits, and he kills 4 walkers, he doesn't get to kill 4 additional walkers. He only gets to kill 1 extra. But if he does a second action and he does it again, he gets to kill another free one every time. So again, you get to the very end of the game. Depending on which way you want to go might depend on, do you need to worry about killing a lot, or are you very efficient in killing? Or is be able to just move up and do the kill better for you? Or do you just want to be able to do more damage per every kill? Maybe there's not a lot of zombies, or there's bigger zombies, and you just need to kill them a lot quicker or efficiently. So it's you know, very, very, I'm trying to think of how to say it, very selective on how you want to do it. He has lots of options. And again, remember, this is a base game, so you're not going to get all these like really crazy or strict character builds that you're going to get like an expansion set, or the Kickstarter characters. The Kickstarter characters sometimes have some pretty crazy abilities, or like the guest box sets, because this is the base game. They expect you to sit down and play it. Everyone needs to be kind of even with each other. They don't want to have one guy being more overpowered. But once you start getting like Kickstarter, or some of the again like expansions or guest artist sets, they can get very some guys can be very overpowering. So if you don't like that, just don't play with that character. We have Burin, who looks like he's either just a really short man or he's a dwarf. but he's wearing a wolf skin, which is really cool. Detail on his axe is like the ram horn on his axe, little dagger coming out. He's got that little mallet. I'm guessing he's a dwarf because he has dwarven axe is his secondary weapon. So he starts with shove, which lets him select zombies within a space of him and push them to a empty space away from him, so you can get guys out of his area. Yellow is 1 action. Orange, +1 die for melee or 1 free melee action. So again, it's which do you need more? Do you want to have 4 or 5 attacks throughout the game, or do you want to have every attack have a better chance of succeeding? So, it's kind of up to you what weapons you have. And if he hits red, he has +1 damage for melee, +1 free combat action, or bloodlust melee. So again, you want that bloodlust where you can rush in. Do you want to be able to do more damage per every hit you do make? Or the free combat action is kind of fun because it can be used for melee as well. So you can actually perform, at that point, you can perform, if he selects, he has his regular 3, he has his yellow, so it's 4 actions. You can have 5, you can have 6 melee actions in a turn. With Bloodlust, you could also have technically an extra melee action as well. But it also makes that combat one sort of nice, is because actually you don't get an extra one with blood, so you have to spend 1 to do a damage. But it gets you a move action, I guess. But with that free combat, because you could also switch to a ranged attack or a magic attack, so maybe at the end of the game, you're trying to escape, maybe having your guy not be standing in the thick of it might be better. So giving him an extra ranged combat might be really cool. Alright, up next, our third one, we have Jonas, Johannes. I'm not for sure how they want that pronounced. Johannes, but he's got a crossbow. Which is really cool. I always love the capes on these miniatures. Definitely cool, detailed little miniatures. I mean, someone might be like, oh, they're not perfect. Yeah, but they're that size. If they made them, 2 inches bigger, they could probably make a lot cooler details. Alright, so he starts with transmutation. Which is, let me find that. Survivors can use this skill as often as they please during each of their turns. Spend 1 action in discarding equipment from your inventory to draw a new equipment card. This survivor can reorganize their inventory. Does not count as a search action, but if you draw ambush cards, which we'll look at later, they get resolved. So that's kind of neat. So he can sort of decide what he needs. This could be very helpful as a team ability too. Hey guys, we have, we have too many melee weapons. We need more ranged weapons, or vice versa, or whatever. Now it says an equipment card, so that could be anything. So you could determine to just hey, I have a regular bow. I grabbed a crossbow. It has better damage. Better range, or whatever. So I want to use that instead. Get rid of your longbow or your short bow or whatever, and see if you can have some of those. Or I had a dagger. Now I grabbed a sword. Get rid of your dagger. And try and maybe find a better weapon. So there's some different things you can do with that. His orange has +1 free range or +1 die roll to range. So our Burring was a melee character. This guy's going to be very much a ranged character. And then red, +1 free ranged action, Reaper range, or +1 max range. So max range is definitely helpful. Plus you can get some extra ranged actions as well. Transmutation is the only one that kind of is weird to fit in there, but it does help him if he needs to find the items that he needs to do that stuff. Our fourth character is Megan. There's our Megan miniature. I don't know what that is, a wicked staff. She's got a big sword, she's got a pouch of stuff, and she's got a staff with a bunch of barbs on it. You get a little bit better picture on the other side there. Yeah, it's just magic staff, like a magic wooden staff. I don't know if it's magic, it's just staff though, but it has a bunch of little small barbs on it. That's actually cool. She gets to use a speed instead, which is an enhancement scroll. So she doesn't get an extra weapon with shit. But remember though, if you're using this extra equipment, you don't have body armor. So for melee characters, it might almost be better to keep the body armor, but ranged characters could maybe get away with this. So she has double casting to start with, which is going to probably do about exactly what you think it does. Every time a survivor performs an enhancement action, they select an extra target for the same enhancement for free. This designates both targets and resolve one application after the other in any order. So, okay, so that's actually kind of cool. So, I want to see if I can find... Here's speed. So, this is a speed enchantment scroll. So, if she gets this, she can carry it. It says, once per turn, select a survivor in a zone without zombies. They immediately perform a free move action up to 2 zones. It does create noise, so you gotta keep an eye on that. But what's neat here is that she has a double casting, so she can basically give one survivor the ability to move up to 4 zones. So this could be really helpful for her to, if they don't have any zombies in their zone, they could clear the board. So this could either be get them quickly over to zombies or get them quickly the hell away from zombies. So it's kind of neat. Her orange, she has one free melee action or spellbook. So here, now do you want to have her have melee actions or do you need her to have more magic? Spellbook, I believe, is going to let her. All combat spells and enchantments in the backpack are considered to be in hand. With this skill, survivors could effectively consider having several combat spells and enchantment cards equipped in their hands. For obvious reasons, they can only use 2 identical dual combat spells at any given time. Choose the combination of 2 before resolving actions. So she could have the double casting. She could have, instead of just one there, she could literally have, her weapons in her other hands, or have this body armor, have speed in her backpack. She could keep 3-4 enchantments in her backpack and then cast them all right there, and she doesn't have to waste arm slots or weapon slots using her enchantment spells. And then with that double casting, she could be doubling the effects. So she could be very powerful. But she can also just use combat magic as well. So when she hits red, she has 1 free combat action, +1 die roll if she's using magic, or +1 die roll for melee. So again, if you decide to maybe switch over to a melee character, maybe keep that little bit of double casting with some more magic, or more melee, she has an option to up that, or you can have her do a lot more combat damage, or what you need her to do. So definitely an interesting character. Not quite a, kind of like a mid spellcaster, mid melee character. Then we have Rolf, who's obviously our barbarian. He can hold a great axe, even though he doesn't have one on his person. But yeah, he doesn't look like he really cares about having too much armor on. So he has bloodlust melee to begin with, so you can get right up and close. +1 action. Orange, 1 free melee action or jump. Jump says survivor can use this skill once during each of their turns. The survivor spends 1 action. They may move 2 zones in which they have a line of sight. Movement related skills like 1 zone per move or slippery are ignored. But movement penalties like having zombies starting a zone apply. Ignore this. Ignore everything in the intervening zones. So he does get to move 2 spots if he's in a thing with zombies. If he's in a zone with zombies, he have to have extra move points for every zombie in there. So he can't just jump away if guys are on him. But what he could effectively do is, if there's a zombie in his way, he could jump over the zombie. So he's moving 2 spaces, but it's ignoring the middle space in between. But he can also use this to jump over like a hedge, or jump up onto a ledge without having to spend extra points that way, or jump over a barricade, which he normally can't get around. So it does give him some extra little movement things. Again, it might be based on what map you're playing, or how you're doing it, whether you want to use that or not. Then his red, 1 free combat action, battle rage, and shove. So you've seen shove before. Combat actions makes sense. Battle rage. Lets him, survivor gains an extra die roll for subsequent melee actions whenever they kill at least 1 zombie. The bonus is cumulative if the survivor gets at least 1 zombie kill in the subsequent melee action. So basically what this means is he gets to roll his dice. So he rolls for an attack. Let's just grab a weapon here. Any weapon. Just give me a weapon. Here, he has this great axe which he can hold, which lets him roll 4 dice. So he rolls his 4 dice. So it says, gain 1 extra roll for each subsequent melee action whenever they kill at least 1 zombie. So if he rolls 4, he kills at least 1 zombie, which is very good. That's 5 accuracy, so not very good, but he does 2 damage. So if he gets at least 1 hit, he's going to kill any walker or faggot or runner. But if he kills 1, then if he does his second action for the game, he does another melee attack right away. Now he gets to roll 5 dice. If he kills something in there, now he gets to roll 6 dice. And if he gets his 4th action, he does 4 melee right in a row, his 3 regular, plus his 1 for his yellow. Now he gets, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dice. Which he can get a lot of hits off of it. So it's definitely a neat ability as long as you keep doing them. Plus his orange, he could get an extra free. So he could get, if he killed 1 every time, now he could be rolling 8 dice for that last one. Plus it has bloodless melee, so every time he kills something, he gets to kill an additional 1. So the combination of them, he could be wiping guys out left and right because he's got better accuracy every single time. Just because he has more dice. So that's definitely a cool idea. Alright, then our final character is Cell, or Celly. Or Seely. So she's an elf. So we have a couple of, mostly humans. We have 1 dwarf, and we have 1 elf. Okay, a little curved dagger there. Her big old sword. Again, kind of like the barbarian. Not really terribly worried about having armor. So she starts with jump. She has +1 action, 1 free melee action, or hit and run. Hit and run is a fun ability. Hit and run says survivors can use a skill for free just after they resolve a magic, melee, or ranged action, resulting in 1 zombie kill. They resolve a free move action. Survivors benefit from the effects of slippery for this move action. So if that's slippery, which slippery just says they can ignore how many zombies are in there. So normally if they need to move a space, it costs 1 action. If there's a zombie in their zone, they have to spend 1 to move plus 1 for that zombie. If there are 5 zombies in a zone, they would have to spend 6 actions to leave that zone. If they have slippery, they don't care how many zombies are in there. But hit and run is kind of fun because, yeah, you get in there, you kill something, now you can back right out. Or if you killed the last one, you can move to the next zone and get ready to use your extra actions to kill more. It's definitely an interesting, cool thing. Then she has red, 1 free move action. If you roll a 6, you get +1 die for combat. So if she rolls, like she had that great axe and she rolled her 4 dice, for every 6 she rolled, she would get to roll an additional die. So if she rolled 2 6s, she would now get to roll 2 extra dice. If she rolled a 6 on one of those, she'd get to roll 1 extra die. As long as you keep rolling 6s. So it's not 100% a great ability, but it is definitely cool. And then finally she has Zombie Link, which I'm surprised this is in the base set. Survivor plays an extra turn each time an extra activation card is drawn from the zombie pile. They play before the extra activated zombies. If several survivors benefit at the same time, choose their turn order. So when zombies spawn, they might spawn a card that gives them an extra activation. So instead of spawning new zombies, it's going to give them a chance to everything to activate ahead of time. So they've already done their attack and move. This would give them a chance to do another attack or move. But if she has Zombie Link, she gets to go first. So if she's standing in a zone with zombies already, she could kill a bunch of them first. Or if she's standing there, she could opt to move out of the way before they activate again. Just some very interesting things you could do with that. So those were our 6 characters. Now we're going to look at our weapons. Alright, so our weapons are all going to have the same picture on the back, but we're going to have 3 different colors. The gray are your starting weapons, so every game you start out, you dish these out to your characters. The red are your regular search items, so when you search a room, you get a pull from this red deck. The blue are special magical and or vault weapons, which you can only gain through specific rewards or through vault things. So if you're familiar with regular core Zombicide, first or second edition, the blue ones are more or less kind of like the pimp weapons. They're the special extra weapons. You just don't get them. I like those games where you get to draw them all the time. These ones are very rare, but they're a lot more powerful. And there's one thing that's nice about adding extra sets, because then you can have more and more different ones of those. Because there's not very many in each set. So the game is trying to focus more on just your regular weapons and not trying to find these special weapons. This is essentially what it does. Alright, so we're going to look at our starting weapons. We start with a telekinetic blast, so we get a combat spell. Let's just say starting equipment on it. It says, spending action, open a door within line of sight, and ranging sight. So it's what you do a simple attack, or you can use it to open a door. It's just kind of a fun idea. We have the Norse sword. So this one you have to roll a die. You have to roll at least a 4 or higher to open the door with it. So opening doors isn't super easy with weapons. Makes sense. Gain 2 dice if Norse shield is also equipped. So this gets more powerful if you have that shield. I like to start them up. Again, they're a little bit more powerful for that reason. We have 3 copies of the short sword. So a bunch of guys are going to get short swords, which are just fairly easy. 1 die for accuracy, 1 hit. So now, comparing that to this Norse sword, the Norse sword is going to do 1 extra damage, and it has the extra ability. Otherwise, it's basically the same. The difference is the short sword is dual-handed. So you could carry 2 short swords, you can only carry 1 of the other one. So that's why it's a little bit weaker, because if you have both of them, now you can use both. Then we do have 1 ranged weapon. We have the spiked bow, which is actually kind of fun, again, for a starting equipment, because it is both ranged and melee. So you can get 0 or 0 to 1. If you're doing either one, you roll 1 die, and you get 4 accuracy, you do 1 damage. It does the same for either, but basically you could smack someone with your spiked bow rather than shooting it. So those are really fun. Alright, then let's look at our regular equipment cards, or item cards I should say. We're going to have 2 waters. To go in the backpack. It says discard this to gain 1 experience point. So hey, if you just need that boost, or if you need to head it over to somebody else that needs 1 point away from getting my next ability, here you go. Take this rather than having to run out and try and kill a zombie. Definitely fun. We have Tremor, which is an enchantment. It says once per turn, all zombies requiring 1 damage to be eliminated. Walkers, runner, wolves, etc. Wolves are part of an expansion. In the target zone are laid down. They spend their next activation getting up. So it's kind of fun. You just basically they have to waste a turn getting up. Kind of a fun thing. And now here's the thing, like that one character that had double casting. Double casting is not going to make any difference on this one, because it hits the same area. We have 4 copies of the torch, which you can draw 2 cards while searching, so that's very helpful. Or you can spend an action to discard from a hand to select a dragon bile to turn it into a dragon fire. So that you throw the torch and set that on fire. I don't know why it's 0 to 1 range, because if you set it on fire and you're standing there, it's going to kill you. Again, an additional copy of Telekinetic Blast. So that way someone can have it. You also dual wield it. We have an additional spiked bow, so you can get lots of the extra equipment. We have speed, which we read earlier, so I'm not going to go over that again. We have another short sword. We get 2 shields. You can choose one, either armor +4 or reroll one armor rolls made with another equipment armor. The new result takes place of the previous one. Yeah, so either if you don't have any armor, it can act as a shield 4, or if you do have armor, you can use this to re-roll that armor, which is definitely nice. So we have 2 scimitars. Gain 1 die if a curved dagger is also equipped. That's kind of fun. We have 2 salted meats, lets you discard for an experience point. Repulse, enchantment. Once per turn, push all zombies from target zone you can see to adjacent to it. It shares an open path and is 1 zone farther from you. So basically shove, but in magical form. 2 repeating crossbows. So you guys will specify they use bolts. And then it has range. So if they have bolts, we have special cards that work with those. We have 3 copies of Plenty of Bolts. Says you may re-roll all ranged attacks once with weapons with bolts. Keyword. The new result takes place of the previous one. So it sits in your backpack, and then if you fired your repeating crossbow, you could use this once per turn to re-roll your attack with it. So you rolled 3 dice and you rolled 1 hit. You could re-roll them. So that's definitely fun. Then we also have the same thing, but for arrows. And this takes place versus the core Zombicide, the modern one, which is shotguns and shells and bullets. So it's the same idea there. Then we have 1 plate armor, which is really good. You only have to roll 3 or higher, so really good chance of avoiding hits from that. We have another Norse sword. Then we also have 2 Norse shields. +4 defense armor and +1 die to another equipped melee weapon. So now, imagine if you had the Norse sword and the shield. Gain 2 dice if Norse shield is also equipped. Plus you add 1 die. So now if you have these together, not only do you have 4 defense, or potential defense, you also get to roll 4 dice for your sword. So it's pretty powerful. 2 longbows. Which, of course, longbow can only hit starting at range 1. We have 2 lightning balls. Combat spell. Very simple. A healing scroll, which is very helpful. Once per turn, when targeted survivor recovers 1 wound up to their starting total, healing can't be used to resurrect the survivor. Yeah, that could be very helpful. Hand crossbow, we got 2 of those. Bolts. 1 action to reload, free at the end phase. So with the reload action means once you fire this, because it has low accuracy hitting rate, you basically turn this sideways or turn it upside down, so you know that you've used it, and then you have to spend an additional action. So if you have 3 actions during your turn, you can fire it for 1, reload it for the second one, fire it for the third one. Or you can fire it for 1, do something with your other 2 actions, and then at the beginning of your next turn, it reloads it. You reload it yourself. It's just kind of depending on how often you need to use it. We have 2 great axes. Ghost Sight enchantment. Once per turn, the target survivor can trace lines of sight and attack through obstacles like closed doors, walls, hedges during this game round. That is fun. We have a falchion. Big giant curved blade. We have 2 dwarven hammers. Big spiked hammers, definitely powerful. We have 4 of the dragon vials. Spend an action and discard dragon vial from hand. Put a dragon vial token within 0 to 1 range and line of sight. 2 copies of Death Gale, combat spell. I like how the spells all make noise. Kind of makes sense. It's almost like you have to shout them out to use them. Like if this was like an anime, your guy's like, Death Gale! I mean, you know, like they can't just cast spells silently. 2 curved daggers, so +1 if equipped to another melee weapon. We had 4 curved daggers. They had that scimitar, which got +1 if you added it to it, so I could add to that, or the fact that curved daggers are dual wield. So if you had 2 of them, each one will give another die. So if you had 2 curved daggers, you get 4 for the total because you wield them together, and they each give each other an extra +1. 2 crossbows, which use bolts. 2 chainmail armors, have +4s, not as good as the other one, but easier to find. 2 regular axes. 2 apples, lets you gain 1 experience. Now, this is definitely one thing that's different than modern Zombicide, because there's lots of their discarded items give you +3. This gives you less, because I think it's trying to make the game a little bit harder. And then finally, we have 4 copies of the ambush, which is Orc Ambush. It says, Orc Walker. Place 1 Orc Walker in your zone you just searched. So sometimes you're digging through a crate or under or behind a bookcase or whatever, and you find an Orc Walker instead of a item. Alright, so that was our regular items, and we're looking at our blue one, which are special items. Now, these have special rules to them as well. So they're going to say vault, which means some of them will say vault. I think they all say vault. Yeah, so they can be found in vaults or special conditions for doing things in the game, objectives. But at the top here, they have these little crystals. So if it doesn't show your color lit up, you can't use it. So like all of these are always going to show all 4 colors. This one here does not show the blue, so you cannot use the bone Kiri if you are only at blue level. You have to be at yellow, orange, or red to use that. So it's harder to use, but it makes up for it. +1 damage when equipped with another melee weapon, but it has a very low accuracy to hit with. We have the bone sword. Gain 2 dice if bone accuracy is also equipped. Definitely powerful. The dwarven axe, which is funny because I love that one. We actually just see the ones the characters are using. This is the one Bring is using. So we've seen both of his weapons, but that's literally the axe he's using. I love it. They did that a lot with Massive Darkness 2 as well. Where some of the weapons that characters were using, like enemies were using, they got brought in as weapons you could use. So roll 6, you get +1 damage. It gives you that extra ability. Roll 6 dice. So you're not going to be super easy to hit with that +5, but with 6 dice, and then you could keep rolling, you could do a ton of damage. And we have Lava Burst, which can only be used at orange and red levels. Combat spell, roll 6, target zone is subject to a dragging fire instead. Oh, so that's crazy. You just ignite a zone and kill everything in it. If you roll a 6. Definitely cool. Steel bow. Arrows. The survivor can trace lines of sight through obstacles that don't block movement, like hinges. So that's cool. And then finally we have the War Cleaver. Roll a 6 +1 die for melee. Cool. Definitely some neat extra bonus items if you can bother to hunt them down. Alright, then the last thing we have to show off for this is the zombie cards. Get all the yellow back so they can get mixed in with all the other games. So I'm going to show off a couple of these and then we'll jump in and we'll look at the actual miniatures. So they're going to have a couple of things on here. So it's going to show assemble the Horde. Again, it's to show the symbol of the character. Tell what it is. So if you're in a red level, you would summon 2 orc fatties. Orange level, 5 orc walkers. Orange, 4 orc runners. Blue, nothing. And then you put 1 card in the Horde. And then each one's going to add a little bit different. So this is walkers, orc. At different levels. Runner, walker. As you're going to see, they keep going. Now we have the blues going to get added, so they get a little bit more difficult. I'm just going to kind of skim through all these really quick. Because they're just different emotes. So I do like what 2nd edition and the later games have now done, including the Western Undead or Alive and the Marvel, is they just made these 1 card. So it's like, you get one of these, it's just going to say Walker, and it's going to have what what number you do during the color versus having to look at the thing and figure out which picture. You can easily pick up a card and tell what color it is. I don't know how well that would, I just think it's a little bit easier to understand. You just pick up a card, you can see what it is, and then just read the number versus having to, like, suss out which one it is by looking a little bit closer. It's not that time-consuming. But now we're going to start summoning abominations, but abominations don't go into the Horde, obviously. These are all just called Assemble the Horde. But since everything changes every time, it's, you gotta stop and read each card. Versus just grabbing like, oh, it's a walker. Oh, 5. Gotcha. So maybe they'll eventually make a 2.0 for this. So there's a lot of these. Sometimes in the books they'll say you can take out certain, like, half the deck, and it's like easy and hard. Definitely mix these in with the other games if you want to, like, mix and match different things. Then you're gonna get some orcs, some not orcs, all of these different ones. So there's a lot of these. Alright, so that's the last of the Assemble the Horde. Then we have extra activations. So this will give you all walkers an extra activation unless you're in blue. We have another one for walkers. We have one for fatties and one for runners. So not a ton of those. Those aren't going to hit too often. Then we have the Orc Necromancer. So it's a spawn Orc Necromancer plus the spawn zone. All Necromancers already in the board gain extra activation. Now for the Horde, whenever you draw one of these, they give you one walker, fatty, and runner that get added to the Horde. So that's kind of a pain. Because they do that. And then we're just going to get 6 of those. All do the same thing. Nothing special there. And then we're going to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 copies of Enter the Horde, which all do the same thing. So all zombie miniatures contained in the Horde spawn zone don't spawn more in the or in the buildings. The end step here. So that's basically that for those. There was one other thing I wanted to point out, if I can find it. Right here. So it says, all Orc zombies and Zombicide Greek Horde have the Horde symbol except for the extra activation and Enter the Horde. Other Zombicide boxes containing zombies of the Horde symbol, like Tainted Walkers and the Frenzy Foe, they are subject to the same Horde rules. So there are other characters that have hordes. Alright, let's look at these miniatures really quick. There are 7 of each different type. So I'm going to try and grab the walkers, or the walkers first. So I have different walkers. I have a couple different models, but again, each one has 7. So there's going to be a lot of the different ones. I'm trying to tell the walkers from the runners because they all kind of look alike. It's what one thing they did change in some of the later sets. They made them different colors. So that one. Just get some different models, which is really fun, because then they look a little bit different. Let's see if the book shows a little bit better so I can tell which are which. That one and that one. Okay, so there we go. So the Orc Walker, and then the last one. So you have 7 of each of these. So there's 5, so you'll have 35 different walkers. So they'll summon quite a bit. They'll look very different. Just, they could have made all the same ones, but they started doing different ones just so you had some different stuff. Then the Orc Runners. So these do look a little bit different because although they're classified as orcs for the sake of the game, they're actually goblins. So if like we compare a walker or a runner over here to a walker, you can see the size difference. The orcs are beefier, the goblins, which are the runners, are a little bit skinnier. But I think they just wanted to keep them all classified as the same name just for the sake of ease. So there's them. They don't really have like the running arcs that some of the other characters do. Then we have the fatties. They're the big dudes. And you're going to get 2 different sculpts for those, which you have 14 runners and 14 fatties. Also known as brutes in some of the later games. But until they change that in every game, I'm going to keep probably end up referring to them as fatties because that's what all the books say. So there's the size differences between them, as well as one of the regular players. So they're about the same size. They're not like extra big. Then we have the abomination. So you get 1 orc abomination. And these guys, any abominations, usually tend to be very spiky, or pussy, or anything like that. And look at this, guys. Okay, you guys are in my way. You're distracting. There we go. Yeah, spikes everywhere. He's got big, giant fingers. Gross. Yeah, and you can see he is quite a bit taller than all the rest of the guys. Then the final one we have is the Necromancer, who is technically not undead. That's basically what they say. All the other guys are undead. These guys are not undead, but they control them. So the other guys could be like, oh, they don't really have an option. They're undead. They're just doing what they're, whatever. This guy's commanding them, so he's actually an evil mastermind. Then the last thing we have is the trebuchet. So this is a siege weapon. So some of the other sets also contain these. And this will have special rules for it. But yeah, this goes on the board. Doesn't move or anything. Like physically move. Like this is a little bit loose there, but that's just, I think, how they designed it. But trebuchet is essentially like a catapult. Like this is to fling down and fling that over. Not physically, but like that's what a trebuchet does. So we do have a card for it. And if I need to, I'll look up the rules. But yeah, there's the trebuchet. So it does have the little extra rules on the back here. So you have some different options. Target zone at +2 or the horde. Line of sight, no line of sight required. Accuracy of 3 if any survivor has a line of sight to the target zone. And so it's a little bit, so you have better access if you can see something. But you all you use it to shoot over things. And then 3 actions to fire or move 1 zone. So it's not super cheap to use, but it is devastating. Let's try to see if I can find the actual rules for it. So it says action. It says statter shot, grape shot, or boulder. So they do different amounts of dice, different amounts of damage. So action cost, survivor and the trebuchet both move from a zone to the next. Action uses standard movement rules, does not benefit from additional skills. It's destroyed whenever it touches a water hole zone. So yeah, if you drive it off an edge, it will die. It'll get destroyed. But yeah, you can move this with your character, but it costs all 3 of your actions. Will cost 3 actions to move. Or you can fire it for 3. So the survivor loads it fires a trebuchet, aiming at a zone at range 2 or more. So it can't hit right next to your guys. No line of sight required. Firing a trebuchet is explained on the combat rules on page 35. For whatever reason, a trebuchet does not produce noise. So I'm going to jump over to page 35 here. So firing the trebuchet, player designates any zone on the board at range 2 or more. Can even be a building zone. Choose which ammunition type you want to use. All 3 are always available. So statter shot, you get to roll 6 dice. but you have an accuracy of 4 and it only does 1 damage. So, very good chance of hitting with that, but you're not going to do a lot of damage. You have the Grape Shot, 3 dice, 4 accuracy, 2 damage, or the Boulder, which is 1 die, 4 accuracy, but it's 3 damage. The accuracy lowered to 3+ if any survivor, not necessarily the shooter, has a line of sight. So if your team is split up and someone can see, like, hey guys, there's an abomination over here, I can see him, this guy's, hey cool, I can fire this trebuchet at him, and try and hit him from a distance. So it's definitely fun. The trebuchet can also be used to shoot at the Horde. In case, treat all zombies set aside in the Horde as standing in a single zone. Target priority applies. So that could definitely be fun. Now you can either boulder and do 3 damage and take out, one big thing, or you could scatter shot and try and take out a bunch. That's a neat idea to be able to try and take out that Horde before they get they drew 1 Horde card, or every time you spawn you're gonna put something in the Horde. So maybe after the first round, there's only 3 in there, not a big deal. But if you get the round all the way through round 2, and there's 6 in there, or more, if you drew a Necromancer, you might be like, I'm gonna trebuchet this. One guy's gonna spend their turn to try and eliminate all of them, or as many of them as you can. That way you don't have to worry about 6 guys spawning in one spot, because you're still going to get your normal spawns as well. So that's what we have for that. That's definitely a neat idea. And then you get other siege weapons through other campaigns as well, which do different stuff. So that is Green Horde. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's kind of long. But yeah, check out the Black Plague if you haven't, which is the original base game. This is kind of like the sister set to it. Or the expansions, which can be added into both sets. See you guys later. Bye.